Hi everyone, and welcome to Billy Fitzgerald Golf, and tonight we're talking bunkers. From setup, different lies, what is this thing called bounce and why is it so important, and what do we do to continually get out of the bunker each and every time. So let's get right into it with setup. Let's talk about the bunker shot setup. The first thing we need to do is expose the bounce. The bounce is located on the bottom of your sand wedge. There's typically a number associated with that, and a lot of times you can find it on your wedge. This is 11. That's the degree of bounce that I have in my golf club. So that's a pretty good amount of bounce, and that's what I'm going to use for this shot. So to expose the bounce, if we just set up square, the leading edge of the golf club would be sitting on the sand. We do not want this leading edge to dig. So as I open the face, you can see the club starts to rest on the bounce and the leading edge comes off my hand. That's what we need to do to ensure we hit a good sand shot, is use the bounce of the club. So the bounce is actually splashing underneath the golf ball. That's what makes the sand go out, and the sand actually makes the ball go out. So this is one of the only shots in golf where there's no ball to club contact, or at least we hope not. So here's what's really critical, is that don't just open the face. So I get a lot of people that just grip it and then just open the face. Your hands are just going to go right back to square, and then you're going to dig and you're going to leave yourself in the bunker again. So open the face and then grip it. So now when I'm swinging, I'm playing with the bounce of the club. Secondly, where is my ball position? So we want it just left of center, obviously for right-handers, because we want to hit just behind the ball and get sand first. So next thing we're going to do is lower our bottom out point. So that's the lowest part of my swing. So how do I do that? Everybody's seen this. We dig our feet in. So a lot of people think that's for stability, and yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that, but more importantly, it makes my bottom out point, or where the club is going to be at its lowest point underneath the golf ball. Now people have talked about, you know, where do I aim? Do I aim at the ball? Some people have referenced the dollar bill. You know, Washington's head is the golf ball. I got to start at the front of the dollar bill. This takes care of that. So you don't really almost need to even aim anything. So ball's just left to center. We got our face wide open. We're going to grip it the same. There's one last thing here that's really critical. We have to lean left just a little bit. So as you can see, my spine, just like in any other short game shot, is going to lean left. So I'm making sure that I'm hitting sand first and moving the face through the bunker shot. The last place I want to do, or the last thing I would like you to do, not want you to do, is feel like you're leaning back and helping the ball. Yes, this almost feels like it's downhill, but that's what we need to make sure that we get close to the golf ball. You never want to feel like your spine angle is back, because the club is going to enter the sand way too far back. So again, open the face, expose the bounce, ball position, just left to center, dig your feet in. That lowers your bottom out point, and we're going to lean left and stay there throughout the entire swing. Now we're ready to go and get some mechanics going. Now for a couple tips for hitting great sand shots. The first thing I want you to do is grab your sand wedge, put it in your trail hand only, and feel how the club is going to pivot. So we're going to hinge, unhinge, and re-hinge. So you can see that the grip of the club is kind of hanging around my body. And certainly when I swing back down, there's a pivot that happens right kind of in the center of my body. So that is critical with hitting a good bunker shot. That's going to allow us to get the bounce to splash right underneath the golf ball. So I'm trying to really feel how the bounce of the club splashes, not necessarily digs, and that's another point. You really don't need to hit down really hard. You don't have to try really hard, because there's two things that you have to remember. Just like in setup, when you dig your feet in, your bottom out point is going down. The other thing is that we're working with gravity. So assuming that your arms are soft and you can feel the weight in the golf club, this club wants to go down. The wedges are the heaviest clubs in your bag. So if I'm soft enough and let the weight of the club pull my arm down, I should have no problem getting the club to go down into the sand. The other thing that you'll notice is that I hinge, unhinge, and re-hinge. The toe of the club is on the right side, or the toe of the club works up. I never want it feeling like it's working over, because if it works over and I bring it back down to the golf ball, the leading edge is in. If I get down here, let it unhinge, the toe of the club is out. You can see actually the face of the club is passing my hands a little bit, and that's what we want to make sure that the bounce of the club is getting into the sand and getting the ball out. We want sand, we don't want too much, and again, we don't want too much ball. So the more you can feel the weight of the club, the better off you'll be. The second thing that I want to go over is your trail hip. Making sure that as you swing back, your right hip or your trail hip is moving away from the golf ball. That's going to make room for your arms to swing. So hip goes away, arms can come down. Hip goes away, arms can come down. So we've got two critical things that we're working on, giving the club and your arms room or space to work by feeling your hip socket move out of the way a little bit. And the other thing is this pivot. So as I'm pivoting, I'm trying to feel the club splash the sand. You can see there's nothing that I'm really doing that's really hard about that. In other words, I'm not having a lot of force into the bunker. So let's get set up again. Ball's just left to center. I'm going to open the face first and then grip it. Now I'm going to dig my feet in. That gets my bottom out point down. Now a few swings, hip socket back and let the club hinge. Hip socket back, let the club hinge. Again, I want to be soft enough to let the weight in the golf club go all the way down. Lastly, I'm going to lean left and I'm going to stay left. I never want to feel like I'm hitting a bunker shot back here. The club will enter the sand way too early. So lean left, hip sockets back, and let the club come down. So you can see there wasn't a ton of sand, there was just enough. But the reasoning behind that is that if I get too much sand, I won't have any spin, I'll lose control over the golf ball. It's just going to run off the green again. So I hope those tips help, and let's move on to different lies in the bunker and how do we approach them. Now we need to talk about different types of lies. Now the last shot I hit, I had a perfect lie, so there's no excuses. Good sand, good lie, should come right out. Now if the sand is a little bit harder or it's wet, what you need to realize is that sometimes you do need a little bit of dig. So you have to realize that if the sand is hard and it's like my hand, if I open the face wide open, I'm probably going to scull it. So you have to pay attention to your surroundings. You have to pay attention when you get in the bunker, what the sand looks like. Sometimes I do need the leading edge to be on the ground a little bit or just off. So different types of sand, different types of situations call for, you know, a little bit more open face or a little bit more square face. Now in front of me, I've got two plug lies. One is severe and one is, you know, probably 25% of the ball has gone down. Now I'm going to play these both differently. Everything else is pretty much the same, but how I use the face of the club. So this first one, I'm going to use the heel of the golf club. So I'm going to let this part of the club dig it out. So the face is going to be pretty square, and I'm going to let this part dig it out. Now, because there's going to be so much more sand than usual, it's definitely going to run out. But our first objective is always just get the ball out. So everything's going to be the same. I'm only going to open the face just a little bit because I want the heel to go into the golf ball. Dig down a little bit more now. Again, definitely going left. Hip's going to get out of the way still, and I'm going to bury the heel right into the ball. Actually came out better than I thought. So that would be getting the heel if the ball is only buried half or 25%. Now this next one, I can almost not see the golf ball. So now I know I've got to dig. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go the other way for the extreme cases. You're going to take your golf club. Now I really need the leading edge and shut it all the way down. So when I get over the golf ball, it almost feels like I'm gonna hit myself in the left shin. Well, I'm not, because once the toe enters, it's gonna square the face up and it's gonna make a lot of sand go out. So we don't want this ball to go very far, because it's really gonna roll when it gets on the green. So same thing. And again, both of these, I'm leaning left, and I need to stay left. At no point in any of these bunker shots do I want tilted shoulders, head back over here. I've got to stay this way. It will almost feel like a downhill shot. So again, get the face really shut. It almost feels like it's going at my left shin. And now again, still my hip's gonna go open, and then get the face right into the sand. Almost made it, pretty good. So there's all kinds of different lies, there's different sand types. That's why these new wedges are so great. If you haven't been fit for a wedge, I strongly urge you do so, and get yourself out of the bunker every time. Like and subscribe to my channel, Billy Fitzgerald Golf, for all tips on golf.